Monday's lesson, what do you think of the title, Though He Slay Me? It comes from Job 13:15. Though he slay me, yet will I hope in him. It can be understood in a couple of different ways. It can be understood in the sense of God is the source of inflicted punishment and death. He's all-powerful. I'm just but a worm, and he's all-powerful. I choose to side with him because he's the most powerful anyway, and it's no other real reasonable choice. I'll side with him and hope for the best. But there's another way. Like a soldier in combat with a wise and trusted commander. One could say, even though my commander sends me on a mission that will result in my death, I will trust him because I know my commander would never do that unless it were for some cause that I would gladly sacrifice myself for. I don't need to know the entire battle strategy. I only need to know my commander and know he is wise and absolutely trustworthy. Lord, send me. If my life serves you, send me into the breach. There's a way to understand it that way too. I don't know why this is happening. I can't see the whole battle plan, but I know my commander would not sacrifice my life pointlessly. And we're in a war. Are we in a war? Think of Stephen right here. God could have miraculously spared Stephen. He could have sent an angel to stop that from happening. He could have given him some type of force shield so the stones bounced off his shield and not touched him. God could have done that. He didn't do that. Stephen's face lights up like that of an angel. They see the radiance in his face. And Stephen says, don't lay this to their account. And something happened there that God did not cause those people to stone Stephen, but God permitted those things to happen to Stephen for a grander purpose. And who was it that was converted because of that experience? It was a major factor in Paul, yes, Saul becoming Paul, his conversion. It just ate at him. It ate at him. And then on the Damascus Road, he was ready for an intervention for conversion. And we talked last week about life expectancy. See, God has a larger plan. He wants eternal salvation for all people. Eternity. Not 75, 100, 120 years. He wants eternity. Stephen was already one of those who's eternally secure. Through that action, God permitted to happen, but didn't initiate. He reached Paul, and how many has Paul now reached through history for God's kingdom? I think hundreds of millions, if not billions, will be saved because of the writings of Paul in the New Testament. But if God is the source of shooting his own troops because they don't keep a certain rule, then we really can't trust a commander like that, can we? No. Job, it says in the lesson that Job didn't have the advantage of knowing how things would turn out. That's what it says. Job didn't have the advantage of knowing how things would. I think there's a truth and a not so truth in that statement. I think it's probably true. He didn't have the knowledge of knowing how his temporal life would turn out, that he would have his health back, his wealth back, and have more kids. I don't think he knew that. But could he, and might we even say should he, have the knowledge that there was a Redeemer coming that would ultimately defeat sin and death, and that would be an eternal hope? Could he have had that hope? I think that was reasonable for him to have. So there's a truth that he didn't know temporally what was going to happen, and sometimes that's us. But we can always understand that in the long run, there is a victory, and we can have eternal hope.